What am I doing? I am eating a cookie. Cookies are so good. So good. Like, I don't even know. Like, cookies are just delicious things. Okay. So, chapter 1, stay insane. Right? Right. Okay. These are the cuts we have to edit. Let's do some... No, let's go back to editing. We need to edit this document. This must be the focus at the moment. But I could really do that other thing. This is the problem with writing. There's so many things to do when it comes to actually finishing the book. So we have ourselves documents. Okay. So real quick, I'm going to go into Finder. Nope, not going to do that. I'm going to go into Downloads, Finder. There we go. Okay. And we're going to go from the pod diagram all the way up through Pink Sheep. We're going to throw all of these into jail documents. Please stop thinking about it and just do it. Yes, thank you. Done, done, done. Done, done, done. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, close that. We good? Yes, we're good. Just getting a little bit of the cookie around. You all are fantastic, and I love you. I love each and every one of you quite a bit. You know that? Do you know that? I feel like you should know that. Let's turn hiding on. Pull this all the way down. Okay, now we're set. Now we're ready to edit. All the downloads have been moved. That's one more thing off my to-do list. Okay, so we are going to, real quick, I'm going to just text myself, because this is what I do when I write. I text myself what I need to do. So I need to text myself to 1. I'm going to edit these cuts. Then I'm going to add cuts to add documents. 3, share with editor. And actually, I also need to look up word count for each chapter. Word count for each chapter. There we go. Add cuts, share with editor, add documents. Is there anything else, or are we done? Is there anything else, or are we done? Share with editor, add documents, add cuts. I'm sure there's something else. I'm just not remembering it. Share with editor. For now, I'm going to call that good. Okay, let's get to work. Declassified maximum security survival guide. Cut notes. Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day. Do you know why Lady Justice carries a sword? Because she punishes. cutting deep without mercy. She holds a sword that no shield or armor can protect against. The wounds it causes fester with long-lasting consequences that are slow to heal. The wounds fester with long-lasting consequences that are slow to heal. She holds up a scale. A scale used by the prosecution to weigh if they can prosecute you. Do you have priors? What's your sex, race, standing in the community? Do you have any political ties? Can you afford a private attorney? Or are you likely to post bail? Do they think you'll take a deal, plead out for safety, or make them work for it? Will you make the prosecutor look good? She has cloth over her eyes. She is blind to truth. Wow, I'm so good. I'm so good. My testimony hasn't changed, but my words have transformed 1,000 times over. Every detail I've evaluated, every word I've weighed against another. The story is the same, but the words to tell the tale have shifted with increasing regularity. I have, after over 100 hours of speech practice, writing, practicing, public speaking, I have over 100 hours of speech practice, writing, practicing, and writing again, concreted my testimony to be exact, detailed, yet simple. I'll probably jackhammer the concrete again tomorrow. Leprechaun and Mafia. Leprechaun and Mafia have been helping me prepare for trial. Every day I give them my testimony, and every day they prosecute me. Leprechaun in particular seems quite adept at asking me questions to trip me up. Day after day, all evening and night, I practice, and they grill me. I hope it's enough to prepare me for the real grilling. July 2nd. A military man just arrived. He was found guilty. This scares the hell out of me. Even if you have 80% chance of winning, that's still 20% that you lose. Go away in the dark and suffer. Suffer humiliation, loss of freedom. Suffer the humiliation, loss of freedom, and loss of my daughter's childhood. That's what's at stake. The last being far more precious than the others. Precious! Far more precious than the others. Do. He seems like a good, clean-cut, well-spoken, strong young man. I guess I'll just have to push myself to be better on the stand. Be better and pray harder. My trial started on July 6th, 2021. It ended on July 15th, 2021. 1.5 days of jury selection, half a day for opening statements, 2 days for prosecution, 1 day for defense, half a day for closing arguments, and finally 2 half days of jury deliberation. Turning it all into one big sentence. Ten terrible days of working, worrying, and feeling sick of stress to the point of wanting to vomit. 10 terrible days. 10 terrible days of working, worrying, and feeling so sick from stress that I wanted to vomit. I wished I could vomit. Notes. You know you've been detained too long when the food stops tasting like shit. A lot of things have changed since I was first arrested a year and a half ago. None of them for the better. Candy bars are now $1.50. With prices like that, the correctional facility should have to register. It looks like 2 hours out a day might be the new norm. There's been no talk of giving us back our extra hour out. The CEOs refused to hand out towels except at the beginning and end of our timeout, even though they still hand out other toiletry supplies that are right next to the towels. Does not handing us a towel that's right next to the door somehow make their job easier? No. All it does is force us to wait around for towels when our time is up. When our time's up, comma, instead of going straight to the cells. This eats up next group's time. This towel waiting time. This towel waiting time eats into the next group's timeout. But the worst thing they've done is instituted group punishments. If someone has writing on their cell walls, instead of punishing that one person, they shut off the TV, tablet, and phones. They remain shut off for 15, sometimes 20, 25 minutes until the CEOs finally come back in to inspect if the writing has been cleaned off properly. If it's still unsatisfactory, then they remain off for another period of time dictated by their reinspection. That's right, reinspection. Only having 2 hours and losing that time to talk with our families is a big deal. It's no wonder inmates get loud, threatening, and violent towards the one who failed an inspection. Group punishments are dangerous and should be illegal. Detainees. Detainees will hurt each other for a chance to talk to their family. Trial confirmation. Every day a trial confirmation arrives is exciting and full of unbridled anticipation. The night before, I do not sleep. I don't sleep. Whoops. Author Altman, short stories and podcast. Author Altman, short stories and podcast. It's my new favorite thing to do. Alright, let's change that to don't. I don't sleep. Like a child on Christmas Eve. I don't sleep. The day trial confirmation arrives. I'm up early, hair combed, teeth brushed, looking as good as humanly possible in jail. I hope my hair impresses the judge. Then confirmation doesn't confirm. A new day for trial a month or more later set. Then trial doesn't confirm. A new day, a new date, a new trial date is set a month or more in the future. And I return to myself struggling to keep my emotions in check. Like a child who found Christmas canceled. Like a child who found out Christmas was canceled. I'm angry, sad, and turbulent. In my bunk, all I can do is seethe. In my bunk, all I can do is seethe and hold my breath as my mind refuses to stop spinning. Like a never-ending Groundhog Day, I've learned that this cycle repeats. I no longer get my hopes up. I'm resigned to my fate. June 3rd, 2021. If you don't care what happens, they won't. If you don't care what happens, then you won't be disappointed. But in my heart, more than anything, I need to be out by August 14th. Cumbugs. Old school needs to be changed to Gaucho. Gaucho story. I have no idea what a cumbug is. Pretty sure it's a gnat. But it was a great source of entertainment one boring jail day. Gaucho came out of his cell with his arms flailing. One of the times he forgot he was supposed to have a bad shoulder. With great gusto, he yelled for the pod to hear. Ah, hell no! Ah, hell no! There are cumbugs in my cell trying to fly up my dick. I was immediately at my cell door. What did he say? Leprechaun was out at the same time as Gaucho. Leprechaun was out at the same time as Gaucho and couldn't help but inquire. Leprechaun was out at the same time as Gaucho and couldn't help but inquire. Did you say cumbugs? Gaucho was still shuffling about in rage. Yes, I did. They're all over my cell. Go look. Yes, I did, youngster. Youngster? They're all over my cell. Good luck. Go look. Leprechaun didn't see anything. Old school. I keep needing to change old school to Gaucho. Gaucho is such a better name. Right? Like, if you heard that somebody's name was Gaucho, you'd be like, yeah, that's a name. That's a name worth working with. Right? But old school is just one of those names that's been used so many times. Gaucho is definitely the way to go, right? Yeah? I'm not crazy? Good. Gaucho continued. It's because those damn house mouses ain't doing their job. Leprechaun gave him a blank look. Okay, what's a cumbug? At this point, the entire pod was at their windows. Maybe the nice men in the white coats would finally come and put the old man out to pasture. Gaucho looked around. None of y'all know what a cumbug is? He was met with a sea of blank expressions. There we go. Fix up the sentences. Make a nice paragraph. Well, I'll tell ya. And listen up, because this is important to y'all's health. A cum bug is a little black flying bug that's attracted to your cum. The house mouses aren't cleaning up the shower jellies, and it's attracting them. I found it odd that he blamed the house mouses and not the people beating off in the shower. And then they fly out of the shower into my cell and try to fly up my dick. We all laughed. It ain't funny. It's deathly serious. Gaucho continued. If they fly up your pee hole, then your dick won't work no more. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk to the CEOs and you house mouses are done. Not surprising, the CEOs completely ignored Gaucho and the house mouses stayed. After that, the topic was brought up to much entertainment. Let's change entertainment to amusement. To much amusement. Anytime a flying creature was spotted, it's a cum bug, which brought resounding shouts of, hide your dicks! I never did get a good answer to how the cum bugs could get to our dicks if we were clothed. Was Gaucho walking around butt-ass naked in his cell? Disturbing. Now we're talking about being gay in Max. Being homosexual in Max, just don't do it. I know being gay isn't a choice, you can't help it, blah blah blah. That's fine. Just don't act super gay, and definitely don't hit on anyone. Gay Boy was fine for the first 2 months he was here. Then he invited his cellie to play strip chess. Next thing I knew, he'd been taken to the hole for his own protection. It wasn't even his cellie who made the trouble. But in close custody, that's a better word. But in close custody, word gets around. There isn't a lot going on, and people don't have anything better to do than to talk about each other. Gay Boy eventually came back, placed with a different group. While not in danger, he was the butt of all jokes. See what I did there? Butt of all jokes. Why do you think he asked for your banana? Oh, not wanting to be hit on or associated with him, everyone ignored or at least somewhat short with him. Everyone ignored or at least distanced themselves from him. Always looking for a little fun, I decided to convince Skinny that Gay Boy wanted to have sex with him. Why do you think he always sits next to you? Haven't you noticed him staring? Yeah, he said you're his type. I'm not joking. Worked like a charm, and boy, did the rumor train run. Homosexuality doesn't fly in Max. Okay, let's take out all these little quotation marks. Turn it into a nice, strong sentence, shall we? Yep, there we go. Racism. The redhead who walked up to the black guy and offhandedly said, "Just so you know, I'm not racist, but I am Aryan Brotherhood." Yeah, okay. Real good that the black guys now know that. Yeah, okay, real good that the black guys now knew that. What he was an idiot. He was an idiot. The other white racist who got caught drawing swastikas in the shower, he'll come pretty quick for him. I'm spelling swastikas wrong. That's probably says something about my lack of being a terrible person, right? Well, as soon as this swastika... Okay, I'm close. Swastika. The other white racist who got caught drawing swastikas in the shower. The other white racist who got caught... He'd be gone pretty quick. Also, I don't care how gangster you think you are. And this is true, I really don't. I don't care how gangster you think you are. If you come in here throwing around gang signs, claiming to be a Crip or Blood, or have teardrop tattoos, on your cheek, there are people in Max who will question you, fight you, steal your stuff, and make sure your life is hell until you're in the hole or the hospital. Funny enough, to help with racism, housing liked to segregate and keep all the black and Hispanic people in the same groups. Our groups are separate but equal. But hey, if it works, it works. Also, if you do anything to receive the title of snitch, you'll quickly become a leper and likely to fight or be removed. What was I thinking my first pass through? Man, I need to focus up here when I'm working. You'll quickly become a leper and likely to get beat up and removed. Beat up or removed from the pod. If someone does something, keep it to yourself. Even just being suspected of snitching, can be detrimental. When my red-haired, bearded, 5'0" leprechaun friend came in, I got warned that he was a snitch. Yeah, man, he's been going up to everybody's door asking them all sorts of questions. Yeah, man, he's definitely looking for an informant. Definitely looking to be an informant. In reality, he was just being social, trying to find someone who had enough French fries in his head for a Happy Meal. He became a good source. He became a great source of camaraderie, but the idea that he might be a snitch earned him about a month of solitude. By the way, if you're gonna call yourself a Crip, call people cuz, not nigga. Also, you should probably be black. If you claim to be a Hell's Angel, don't tell people you drive a Jap bike. Blubber, 6'2", 300 pounds, wearing an 8X top and a 6X bottoms. Crazy, unkempt hair, beard, and eyes to match. He smelled like old cheese. Needless to say, his celly lasted half a day. We knew he had problems when he spent his first half hour of time out standing... Put a comma. We knew he had a problem when he spent his first half hour of time out standing with his cell door open a crack, shy of an inch. crack, standing with his cell door open a crack. The crack was shy of an inch. He stood staring and swaying as if the slightest breeze might blow him over. His next 20 minutes was spent waiting just outside the bathroom door. When he was told that waiting right outside the door was weird, his response in the tiniest, most high-pitched voice, in the tiniest high-pitch, small, tiniest high-pitched, quiet, ill-fitting voice was okay. And he went and sat down to wait. We never learned his name. Didn't need to. New sentence. I'd quickly dubbed him Blubber, and the name was instantly adopted by the rest of the pod. Funny enough, he wasn't Blubber so much for being fat as he was named for his habit of laying belly down shirtless on his bunk, giving him a very beached whale sort of look. After his 45-minute shower without soap, in which he spent the majority of it masturbating, I'll spare you the details, he'd stand outside in the rec yard, not doing anything, just standing, staring off into oblivion, slowly twitching his fingers every so often. After an hour or so of that, he'd go back to laying in his beached whale state. I should note that I never saw the man use a towel. He believed in air drying. My guess... New sentence. My guess is, it's better for your pores. Oh, he was a sight coming out dripping wet, his orange uniform soaking up what it could. Blubber never talked to anyone, never watched TV, never even took a book into his cell. He just laid there in his beached whale state, He just laid there in his beached whale state, or stood swaying as he stared off into oblivion. We couldn't believe he didn't take any meds. He is the poster child for needing help, needing asylum, or at the very least, they needed to put him in a mental pod and not with us normal people. Us normal guys. Tattoo. Before you can make a tattoo gun, you need to make the needle. Take a staple out of your paperwork, a legal pad, or the address book the chaplain gives you. Chaplain, right? Chaplain gives you. Hang on. What is going on with me today? I misspelled swastika. Now I'm second-guessing chaplain. I'm pretty sure I did that right. But let's do military. Chaplain. Yeah. I was right the first time. Stupid pages. Chaplain gives you. Find a rough spot in the concrete floor and slide the staple towards yourself in a quick motion. Find a rough spot in the concrete floor and slide the staple towards yourself in a quick motion until the staple sharpens into a needle. Wrap 2 inches of the needle in thread until you have an inch of thread spooled around the needle, leaving just an inch of the pointy needle exposed. Wrap 2 inches of the needle in thread, until you have about an inch of thread in thickness spooled around the needle, leaving just an inch of the pointy needle exposed. The thread is there to help keep ink on the needle, but also to make sure the needle doesn't go too far into the skin. Attach the needle to the bottom of the pencil by wrapping it tight with a sticker. Finish it off by wrapping a hair tie around the pencil to give it a comfortable grip. You now have a decent stick and poke tattoo instrument, best Max can make. The ink starts with a pencil lead. To get enough, I suggest finding a pencil you can see the seam of between the two wood halves that keep the graphite center in place. Soak the pencil in water for a day or two. Using the edge of the table, peel and split away the outer layers of pencil until you're left with just the black pencil lead. Using a sharp edge of a table or chair, flake off little bits of the graphite. Take the flakes in a shampoo cap. Put the flakes in a shampoo cap. Add just a single drop. Add 1 or 2 drops of shampoo to turn the flakes liquidy. Liquidy. That's not right. It's liquidy, not liquidly, right? You can add just a drop of water to help the solution be liquid enough. Test your ink by dropping a drop. Test your ink by dropping a drop into the toilet. Dropping a drop? I don't want to say dropping a drop. Test your ink by letting a drop fall into the toilet. The ink, yes. Yeah, that's how I want to say it. The ink should sink to the bottom. If it doesn't, comma, let it dry and try again, this time using less shampoo. This time using more shampoo. More shampoo and less water. Test your ink by letting a drop fall into the toilet. The ink should sink to the bottom. If it doesn't, let it dry and try again, this time using more shampoo and less water. Now you're ready to stick and poke yourself a jailhouse tat. When doing the actual tattooing, I suggest dipping the needle after every poke. Make sure to keep the skin tight. And wipe the tattoo area with a towel often. You kind of want to poke at an angle, so the ink gets under the skin. Poke and rip, as they say. Go over it several times to get a decent looking jail tat that won't fade too quickly. Yes, it hurts a lot, but don't be a pussy. Remember, an authentic jail tat doubles your street cred, and triples your overall coolness factor. And that's true, right? That's why I got mine. My tattoo. I love my little jail tattoo. You'll never look back on it and say it as a shitty looking faded mask that might keep you from getting certain jobs. So just do it. note. Nah, I'll add extra later about my experience. The thing that I don't mention that I think I'm going to is when talking about the actual jail tattoo. It took us days to do it because as you're poking and doing the skin, it gets agitated and puffs up, right? And you've got the pink areas that are surrounding it that just puff up, and yeah, so there's a lot of time that just you got to wait for the skin to settle back down. So it took days. It really did take days for us to do. Staying sane books. The key to staying sane when you're locked in a small room for 21 hours a day is definitely within the pages of a book. Now, you might be one of the people saying, I'm not much of a reader. I've never been into books, or I'm just not that good at reading. My response to you is, I don't care. Start reading. I've had a lot of sellies, seen a lot of guys come and go, and the ones who didn't go crazy started reading. Pretty much every one of them walked in not liking books and left glad they started. From watching them, I learned that most people who don't read much end up liking books a lot more than they think they're going to. If you're afraid you won't find anything funny, fun, interesting, or at your understanding level to read, or at your reading level, don't worry, you're not that special. At some point over the years, someone similar to you was locked up. They had similar tastes and needs in a book, and they left, leaving the book behind for you to enjoy. If you don't know what to do, just start reading. When you first get in and it's a while until your time out, ask someone on their time out to slide you a book under your door. When you're in maximum and you only have access to a few boxes of books, some books are in high demand. My advice is to make friends with people who like similar books and get on their reading train, passing down books from person to person as they finish. The Viking was a friend of mine who I saw was having all the Stephen King books delivered. I was able to get second out of 7-person reading train thanks to just being a nice guy. Now, if you're a slow reader, hoarding the book I want is a sure way to get me mad. Sure way to get on my mean side. 3 books holding limit. Pass on the 4th to the next guy, knowing it'll make its way back around. Also, series of books are rare. They are to be tracked and protected. If you lose a book in a series, expect to be cut off like a leper. When in doubt, there are plenty of Bibles to crack open. I'm going to take out the Bible bit, because I talk about Bibles quite a bit. Or at least when to get them. Daily schedule. House mouse's clean cell block. Razors to shave or commissary delivered. Razors are passed out. For shaves, or commissary is delivered. $5:15 breakfast. 7:15 to 10:15 Group A timeout. Group A's timeout. 12:15 lunch. House mouse is clean again. Lunch and house mouse is clean again. 4:15 to 7:15, Group B's timeout. 7:15, dinner, and house mouse is clean again. 8:15 to 21:15, Group C's timeout. And last but not least, Group D's timeout. 21:15 to 15 after midnight. Nurse passes out meds after every meal and does sugar level checks and does, that's the word, blood sugar. Nurse passes out meds after every meal and does blood sugar checks around 15:30. Correctional staff officers come in every hour at the 15-minute mark to make sure everyone is still alive and cells are locked. You also have people being taken in and out for court or visiting their lawyers. None of this is quiet. Every group is loud, enjoying their timeout. People constantly yell from cell to cell. Guards yell when they bring in order forms or laundry randomly throughout the day. Tip: jam an eraser or pencil in your door to keep it from clinging too loud when the guards pull on the cell door to see that they're secure. Note: house mouses brushes in the showers. House mouses brushing in the showers is the worst noise ever. One thing you'll notice is there's very little time for uninterrupted sleep. I typically fell asleep when house mouses were done at 1:15. Wake up for razor delivery at 3:15. Fall back asleep until breakfast at 5:15. Lay in bed awake until I hear the nurse leaving around 6:30. Then fall asleep and pray the morning group is quiet enough that I can sleep until lunch at 12:15. If any group is the morning group, then I'll try to sleep between lunch and dinner. If any group is the morning group, let's take that sentence out. It didn't make a lot of sense. That's the jailhouse schedule for my block, CC. My day today, 5/28/2020. A day in Max. 1 a.m. Read while the house mouses clean the cell block. Their scrub brushes on the shower next to my house are pretty loud. 1:15 to 3:15 a.m. Try my next. Try to sleep and finally falls. Okay, we'll take all that out. Stronger sentence is a shorter sentence. Finally, fall asleep after half an hour of getting the 3-inch mattress bunched up under my half-inch pillow just right. Finally fall asleep after half an hour of trying to get the 3-inch mattress bunched up under my half-inch pillow just right. Yep, there we go. Get woken up for store delivery. Change store to commissary. Try to sleep again. Eat the lumpy, bland breakfast oatmeal. Read while meds are delivered. Try to sleep. Wake up from the TV being turned on and the bang of cell doors being opened up for the morning group timeout. Finally get 5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Eat bologna sandwich for lunch. Brush teeth, comb hair, and stretch. Read. I read from 12:50 to 2. Write about maximum life. 2 to 3 p.m. Write about life in Max. Play chess with myself, try new moves, strategies, and always winning. Always winning chess because I was playing with myself. Yep. 4 to 5:15. Play Dungeons & Dragons with myself, rolling for what players might do. Rolling to see what my players might do. 5:15 to 5:45. Eat bad pasta and old rolls. Instead of old rolls, we'll do hard rolls for dinner. Eat bad pasta. Let's do bland instead of bad. Eat bland pasta and hard rolls for dinner. Write down what my Dungeons & Dragons characters did in an outline to possibly make into a fun book later. To possibly write into a fun book later. Pass notes and socialize with other inmates through the cell door and in the vents. I did that from 7 to 8:15. 8:15 to 8:30, people pay their food dues. 8:30 to 9:15, work out, jump a fake rope, use the seat for dips, push-ups, planks, and flutter kicks. Note, always work out 45 minutes before you're let out. Before you're let out. So you can open the door. So you can open the door and your house has time to air out. I also liked this because I could jump right into the shower. 9:15 to 12:15. Enjoy my time out and fill the 3 hours with shower, phone calls, and video visits with family. Enjoy my time out and fill the 3 hours with shower, phone calls, video visits, and playing cards while watching whatever movie is on AMX, TNT, or FX. Do it all over again. In Max, every day is Groundhog Day. Bum bum bum. Every day is Groundhog Day. It's true. Every single day, the exact same thing over and over and over again. And it's sickening and it's hard. It takes forever to get used to it. It really does. And getting used to it is so difficult. It's one of those things that I don't know that you ever truly are like okay with it. It's so hard to just do the exact same thing every single day. There's no changes. You get into a routine and then time starts to go faster, but then it's kind of disheartens you because it's just going faster. It's going too fast, It's all the time. As you watch the days slip by, it's all time that you're never going to get back. I don't know if you can hear that, but I need to get some more water, so I will be right back. But I made this wonderful slideshow. If you haven't seen it yet, it is wonderful and amazing. Please enjoy the slideshow. I'll be right back. I got coffee. I got coffee. In case you didn't know, I got coffee. And I got it in this really cool mug too. This Seahawks mug. Yeah, everybody see that? Yeah. Yeah. I hope Seahawks are your favorite sports team. Yeah? They are obviously your favorite sports team. Did you guys like the slideshow? Slideshow is good. Yeah. Slideshow is fun. Slideshow is all kinds of greatness and fun times and everything you ever wanted. The biggest thing about the slideshow is just reminding you, hey, if you want to support me, you can go to Patreon. And then like and subscribe too, and share this with other people. But I mean, you're watching this. Of course you've liked it by now, right? Who just watches a YouTube video and doesn't like it? It's so weird. There we go. Okay. Blow on the coffee. Anybody else drinking awesome coffee right now? Brandy, yeah. Good job, Brandy. Yeah. You saying yeah because you've been to the Patreon? No, you're saying yeah because you liked the YouTube video, didn't you? You liked this YouTube live stream. I appreciate you. This coffee's I'm really excited for it. It's pumpkin spice, but it's hot. Pumpkin spice. I say like I'm. What's the what are those called? The stereotypical white bitch, right? The normal white girl. Basic. That's right. Basic bitch. That's me. Me with my wonderful pumpkin spice coffee. It's not a latte though, so it's something different. I'm so glad that one of you said something. Thank you, Brandy. You're wonderful. Thank you so much. Having 4 people watch and having only one person like say one thing is kind of funny. Maybe I need to do more things to like get people to interact. Like go, do you like pumpkin spice too? Yum. Yeah. See, Brandy knows what's up. Yeah, get that pumpkin spice. I need coffee. I'm not tired, but I'm on that cusp of like I feel like I'm going to be tired. You know, I'm not tired right now, but I feel like I could be eventually. Ergo, I need coffee. Board cell extra. This part is a little depressing. This just tells you how long somebody spends, how much time somebody spends in a cell, and how well they get to know that cell. The flat side wall is 8 blocks of concrete wide. Was 8 blocks of concrete wide, 10 blocks tall. They sat 8 blocks then, 7 blocks, with half blocks on both sides. They sat 8 blocks, comma, because we're going to set apart these 2 different thoughts, comma, then 7 blocks with half blocks on both sides, both ends. I like to think of them as staircases someone could walk up. I also draw imaginary lines, turning the blocks into odd shapes or different sized pyramids inside of each other. Each screw is a security screw, 5 circles outside of a raised point, giving it a star-like appearance. Along that same wall, there are 21 rows of 3 such security screws. I like to find the middle row and work my way out, 10 on either side of the middle. Along the same wall, there were 20 rows of 3 such security screws. Gotta make everything past tense, man. Come on. I liked to find the middle row and work my way out, putting 10 security screws on either side I like to find the middle row and work my way out, putting 10 security screws on either side. 2 of the 3 screws in the middle are on one side of the roof panel, across from the lone screw. They're off-center from each other by about 2 inches. By about 2 inches. The lone one was dead center in the room. You could tell thanks to the blocks. It's also in line. It was also in line with the metallic circle in the middle of the cell that houses the sprinkler. Marine Man was able to use pencils and a comb to pry it off. To pry the sprinkler circle off. That is scary, let me tell you. Okay, so I don't think I'm quite doing it justice here, so I'm just going to talk to you guys. This is what you guys get for being a part of the live stream real quick, okay? Before I keep editing and fixing this. Middle circle, right? On the ceiling. Okay? Middle circle on the ceiling. It holds within it the sprinkler system. Now the sprinkler system isn't out, like you can't see it. The metal circle is just that, a metal circle. And if it detects smoke, the metal circle pops off. Like pops off really quick down below. I swear if it ever hit somebody's head, they'd be dead. Just pops off, and this black liquid sprays out, and the black liquid is some kind of like it's some kind of anti-fire like liquid deterrent. Okay, so this black liquid squirts out all over, black ink all over the cell, and then normal water goes. Why they need this, this deterrent liquid, I have no idea. Why can't they just have the water? But that thing stains everything black. Your clothes, your bed, your papers, everything ruined. So whenever so there are 2 kinds of really big strikes that happen if all the jail people get really upset. The first one is a hunger strike, which is really stupid. And here's what happens when you do a hunger strike. You do a hunger strike and they say, "Oh, you clearly don't love yourself. You clearly don't love yourself enough to eat. It's actually a type of self-harm." That's what they call it. They call it self-harm when you don't eat. So you refuse your food. It's self-harm. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take you to suicide watch. And that's like the worst thing ever. I would go to the hole a million times before I ever went to suicide watch. Suicide watch is the worst. They take away everything. They take away your clothes because you might hang yourself. You have to wear a padded dress, and then the padded dress, they basically like you're stuck in a cell, and they don't even have a toilet because you might accidentally you might decide to bash your head and hurt yourself with the toilet. So instead, what they have is just a hole in the ground, and you just have to shit into the hole in the ground. And yeah, it's awful. Anyway, so that's the first part is hunger strike. The second way that they would punish people, or I'm sorry, that the inmates would punish the staff, the facility, if they were really upset, is they would pop off those sprinklers. They would take pencils or pens or whatever they could get their hands on, and they would pop off the metal piece, and then that water just goes everywhere, and the COs have to come in and they have to try and stop the water. But by the time they turn the water off, it's already just flooded. Especially if you do it right and you like clog the toilet too, and you're flushing the toilet at the same time that the sprinkler's going off. And yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. It ruins everything in that cell. Yeah, so after you do that, you're going to the hole, and you're going to the hole for a few days. Probably 10 10 days was pretty standard. 30 if they had room in the hole and they really didn't like you, but typically it was 10, unless it was like unless this is a reoccurring occurrence. But then once you get to the hole, there's nothing stopping you from doing it again. You can flood cells all day long. And then if you keep flooding your cells, eventually you get stuck in the chair. And the chair was basically a strap-down chair where they can strap you down with these giant Velcro straps. Yeah, crazy times, man. Absolutely insane. This pumpkin spice coffee is to die for. I'm quite happy with it. Alright, let's get back to the normal editing. Unless you guys have any questions, ask away. I'm happy to answer them. I like to find the middle row. Center of the room. Marie Man was able to use his pencil and comb to pry the sprinkler circle off. It sounded like a gun. When the metal disc popped. And shot off. I'm pretty sure if it ever popped off and hit someone in the head, they'd be dead. The cell then got incredibly dark, as flame retardant ink sprayed everywhere, followed by water. Yes, everything in the cell was ruined. Funny enough, he didn't get in trouble for flooding the cell. Flooding the cell with the sprinkler. With the sprinkler system. Thanks to his mental state, he was deemed incompetent. If you want to get away with things, do it during your mental breakdown. In the mental wing or close observation, aka suicide. Or close observation, aka suicide watch. But I digress. The reason the long cell wall is my favorite is because of its symmetry. It's far more calming than the chaos of the other walls. We aren't allowed to hang things in our house. I wasn't allowed to hang things in my house. So that wall, that symmetrical wall, was what I enjoyed before and after laying my head down every night. It was oddly soothing. Yes, I was soothed. War for the remote. Save. My group didn't have a problem with the TV. That's the end of a sentence right there. That's a strong sentence. You know how you know that's a strong sentence? You can take out any word in that sentence, and all of a sudden it doesn't make sense. That's the key to a strong sentence. It is as short as humanly possible. If you ever want to be a good writer, and I'm not a great writer. I'm an okay writer. But if you ever want to be a really great writer, you learn how to make sentences like that. Strong, short sentences where every single thing in it is the way it is. Every single word in it is necessary. That's good coffee. Gramps watched the news for a half hour while we showered and made phone calls. Gramps watched the news for a half hour after our cells were popped while we showered and made phone calls. Then we'd sit down at our table to play cards and change the channel to watch a movie on TNT, FX, or AMC while we played cards. Let's take out that last to play cards. It's pretty terrible. Okay, other groups were not nearly as structured. There were often disagreements over watching a movie or that new reality TV show. Or a new reality TV show. Most groups either settled on majority rules or first come first serve, depending on the personalities in the group. But the group after us had two strong personalities, Diabetes and Black Stallion. These two would literally grab the remote from one another and chase each other around the pod. It was entertaining to watch and cheer them on. I really liked Black Stallion. We joked around with each other a lot and traded back and forth. We joked around with each other a lot and traded light-hearted insults back and forth. To ensure Black Stallion's victory, I started sliding the remote under his cell door at the end of our timeout every day. Let's take out every day. Diabetes, at a loss as to what to do, did the one thing he should have never done. He went to a CO. My group got sat down and was told not to slide the remote under doors anymore. Diabetes and Black Stallion's group lost their TV privileges for 2 days, making for a long, quiet, and boring timeout. But everyone knew that Diabetes snitched. Even though he was a big guy, he got the cold shoulder. No one talked to him. He looked incredibly sad and lonely all the time. He also got a new nickname, Pig. Anytime the nurses would come in for Diabetes blood sugar check, for the diabetics blood sugar check, we'd yell, "Time to stick the pig." Thus ended the war for the remote. Lonely and alone, Pig never got to choose the channels again. So sad. So sad. It's a sad story, right? Yeah? Yeah. Sad story. Sad story. Poor Pig. Oink oink. Juror number 1. A woman who clearly wants to go home. Bored, she rests on her left elbow, watching the trial without interest. She doesn't carry a notepad like all the other jurors. My life is on the line, and she can't be bothered to take notes. We need to put this into the past tense, so. Juror number 1. Juror number 1 was a woman who clearly wanted to go home. Bored, she rested on her left elbow, watching the trial without interest. She didn't carry a notepad like all the other jurors. My life was on the line, and she couldn't even be bothered to take notes. I wanted to excuse her, but because she's a woman of color, she couldn't. We couldn't. But because she's a woman of color, we couldn't. oh my goodness, discrimination anti-discrimination laws made it impossible to dismiss people of color if you didn't have enough clear reasoning to the judge on why they shouldn't be there. The men sat and stared. One man was an older white man. The men sat and stared. One older white man stared at me more than the others. As he looked at me, I couldn't help but wonder what he was thinking. Was he picturing a younger self? A him that could have been in the same chair I'm sitting in? Or was he seeing the low life that did his daughter wrong? Is this finally his time to get revenge for a past deed? Am I to suffer the justice he couldn't bring him against another man years earlier? Who can say? Who could say? I wish I could simply talk to him. I wished I could simply talk to him, to speak like a normal human being to the jury, and maybe be seen as a normal human in return. Instructions to the jury. Jury instructions. Words continued to move, change, and be rearranged. The same word, synonyms for the word, and words I never have considered using are interchanged in attempts to make the same meaning clear or clearer. Funny enough, their attempts seemed to muddy the waters. Beyond a reasonable doubt, that's the key. Innocent until proven guilty. My life rested alongside our case on those words. My life rested on those words. That was the key. Innocent until proven guilty. My life rested on those words. They were my life verse, my saving grace, my Jerusalem sanctuary. My Jerusalem. My domino was a crappy 10-point made out of wood, painted black, dented, and chipped to hell. I'm taking the stand. I'm shitting bricks. I'm shitting bricks because my life is on the line. The domino comforted me. The domino comforted me. So the domino that I'm talking about right there, it was a real domino, an actual domino, little wooden black domino, just like I said, and it was a 10-pointer. It was a 5-5, which in my opinion is the best domino in the game. And if you play dominoes well, you know what I mean. yeah, absolutely best domino in the game, and I loved it. I loved having it. Um, Great. See you at 6. So the domino I kept in my pocket, and it signified to me that every word that I said on the stand had meaning, and that you do an action or a word, and it's like knocking over the domino, right? You can't take it back. It is what it is. That is now what you're doing. Um, so yeah, that's what it was for me. That was my domino. Just and it's one of those things that I just held on to. It was a way to focus. It was something to focus on, something solid that I could grip onto, that was real, and I could grab onto it and be like, this is here. This is me. This is something that is of mine, and it's something real and tangible, and I have it, and I have it in my hand, and it just centered me. It just helped me calm myself down and just be normal. I don't like saying the word normal, but I was normal. I felt normal because I had this thing that I could attach myself to and hold on to, and it comforted me. It was amazing how holding something was comforting, and just having it with me, having it, and even when I taking the stand and just knowing it's in my pocket, it feels good. Yeah. Crazy. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think this right here, this is solid. This is solid work. So declassified maximum security survival guide cuts. So these are basically short snippets that didn't really fit in any of the one chapters. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the different chapters, figure out what chapters have slow word or small word counts, and I'm going to throw these in, and kind of put them to where they fit. Obviously, like Happy Independence Day, that one is pretty. That's going to be an ending one. That's going to be in the last chapter. But like the story about Gaucho and the Cumbugs, I can put that story in anywhere, and it's going to work out really well. Just because it's a fun story. It's a fun, easy story to read about. So, how about we switch over to something different? How about we switch over to a short story? Butler Benson Belvedere 2, School Bully. If you haven't read the first Butler Benson story, really good. Highly recommend it. It's on Patreon. Totally worth it. That story was a long one, too. I think that one was like 15 pages. So, little background. Butler Benson Belvedere is a butler who absolutely is in love with his family and serving them and making their life better. And he does it in several different ways. And unfortunately, he's very good at what he does, but he has kind of a warped sense of morality that doesn't really confine him to always serving them in the traditional sense. So, a well-thrown fist finds a vulnerable jaw, and teeth dislodge in a stream of blood. An uppercut is a boxer's punch. It travels along a vertical line to the opponent's chin or solar plexus. It is one of the main punches that is counted statistically as a power punch. Utilizing the full force of the heels and the hips to twist into the punch, a professional boxer can exert 3.5 times their body mass into an uppercut. Its placement combined with exerted force makes it a deadly blow to the unfortunate receiver of such a strike. I am Butler Benson Belvedere. I am a butler, and a butler buttles. Now, buttling is a difficult job. It takes focus and precision. You have to have an eye for details. Too many people have tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is not conducive to buttling. I myself have had years of training in peripheral vision usage. It goes hand in hand with my martial arts skills. So when the young master came home with a fat lip, I knew trouble was brewing faster than the trolley. The poor chap had his nose facing the ground the entirety of dinner. Mr. Hurst, being the businessman he is, of course had his face staring down his food. The fork in his right shoveled food that was more sustenance than a culinary experience for Mr. Hurst. That's a good line. I'm going to keep that just the way it is. Meanwhile, his left held the phone that brought information to his brain. Statistic-driven strategy never stops. Never stopped. Across Mr. Hurst's mind. Statistic-driven strategy never stopped traveling throughout Mr. Hurst's mind. With the boss man unawares, the task of realizing what happened fell squarely on Mrs. Hurst. With an eye as sharp as her wit, she saw immediately, sat up straight when her son sat down at the table. With an eye as sharp as her wit, she saw immediately the injury and sat up straight. With keen, cat-like eyes. Cat-like eyes piercing through her son's cat-like eyes. Nonchalant mannerisms. Before the footmen even brought out the first course, Mrs. Hurst inquired towards the ordeal that the young master went through. Sheepishly, the young master assured his mother that it was a simple football injury. His story was, of course, complete rubbish. Alongside his downward gaze, the cut was to the lower left of his mouth, a difficult injury to get even with the worst attempt at heading the ball. However, the cut was identical to others I'd seen. Laceration approximately an inch long, purpling and swelling appearing around the cut. Around the edges of the laceration. There we go. That's better. Clearly something had pushed the chap's bottom lip upward into his tooth with violent force. I'd give my last pound that boy took an uppercut. Being the lovely bird she was, Mrs. Hurst went right to comforting the boy. Her soft fingers ran through his hair, her soft lips pressed against his cheek, and her soft, soothing voice let him know all would be okay. Oh, how I envied that child. She couldn't see past his lies. He was a good kid, but he didn't want to upset his mother. He was a good child. Let's not say that more than we already have. Let's take that out. He was a good kid, but he didn't want to upset his mother. She was too soft and trusting to see the pain behind his eyes, but I could. I've seen enough evil in this world to know that child, but I could. Let's do that. I'd seen enough evil in this world to know that child was suffering in ways he didn't want to share with Mrs. Hurst. I respected that. He didn't want her to feel pain. Through his suffering, she would suffer. I'd have to deal with this myself. And so he would. Does everybody enjoy Mr. Belvedere so far? Butler Benson Belvedere. Again, if you haven't gone to Patreon and read the first short story, totally worth your time to do. With a pair of high-powered binoculars, I sat atop a rooftop adjacent to his school and watched the young master go about his day. Everything seemed normal until recess. As the boys all ran about the playground, a rather large boy went up to the young master. I saw the young master hand him a wad of cash. I saw the young master hand him a wad of cash. At least 10 bills, all of them hundreds. Now let's talk about that for a second. What kind of crazy boy walks around with 10 $100 bills? But I digress. The boy then gave the young master a quick slap across the face. The young master hit the ground as the bully slowly turned his back and walked away. I watched the boy until he looked my way. Then I snapped a photo of his face as he turned. I watched the boy until he looked my way. Then I snapped a photo of his face before he turned. Sending the picture through facial recognition, I got back a name. Henry Bandabeer. Henry Bandabeer. The Bandabeers were millionaires who made their money in the steel industry, but they weren't billionaires like the Hearsts. No, they in no way were on the same level, regardless of their children going to the same school. They didn't deserve to breathe the same air as the Hearsts. I'd have to make sure they didn't. I'd have to make sure they didn't. Let's see here. As using satellite surveillance, I was able to follow the young Henry as his driver took him about his day. Let's enjoy some more of this pumpkin coffee. Anybody else drinking anything good out there? This pumpkin spice coffee is my life right now. I'm not tired, but I could be tired in a few hours, so it's best to start drinking coffee now. As he went about his day. Let's see now. Okay, so we need to decide. Let's do a quick outline. I always write better with an outline. So, just agua. Come on, Becca. Just agua, just water. Well, that is very healthy of you. Good on you. Coffee is gross. You're gross. What? Coffee is amazing. Don't do that to me. Everybody else, chime in. Tell her coffee is amazing. Here, I'll start us off. Coffee is amazing. There you go. Okay, so outline real quick before we keep writing. 1. Finds perfect spot. With Henry. Gives Henry warning. Young master comes home with another injury. Kills Henry. How do we want him to kill Henry? Any thoughts on how he should kill the young child? Last time we had him use a high-powered rifle in the last story. Spoilers, if you haven't read it. This one... Okay. This one we're gonna go... Kills Henry. Okay, he's gonna poison him. Poisons Henry. But first, he has to acquire the perfect poison. Poisons Henry, and then it ends with young master, he actually didn't bully the young master the second time. That injury was an accident. Good outline. We have a solid outline to go off of now. I was able to follow the young Henry as his driver took him about his day. First, they made a stop at a baseball field. Terrible American sport. Not nearly as sophisticated as cricket. Next, his driver took him to a tutor, then piano lessons, then a playmate's house, then finally home. After analyzing the grounds, constant security, and the movements of the Bandabir's bodyguards, after analyzing the grounds, security cameras, security camera placements, and the movement of the Bandabir's bodyguards, it became evident that obtaining entry to the Bandabir's estate was out of the question. The best place to get to the boy would be on the baseball field. Now, I'm no monster. There was no reason to take drastic action. I was sure a simple talking to would ensure Henry's future. Let's think about this for just a second. Henry's future. What's a good word to say? He was going to be nice, be kind. But a fancy word for saying kind. Would ensure Henry's future gentlemanly nature. I don't know. Maybe. I was sure a simple talking to would ensure Henry's future gentlemanly nature would be kept when in the presence of the young master. For this, to this extent, no. To these ends, I dressed as simply as I could. A pair of jeans, a tan t-shirt, tan t-shirt under a black under a sports jacket with a low wearing baseball cap. In a matter of minutes, I looked like any other father. No. We're not going to say that. Not father. Their fathers aren't going to dress like that. Their fathers are going to be in high rolling suits, tuxedos, right? Let's give it a minute. By the way, if you haven't pressed like on this YouTube video, do it. Do it now. It's an order. And give it a comment too. Love you guys. You're wonderful. I love every one of you. You're the best. A tan t-shirt under a sports jacket with a low wearing cap. In a matter of minutes, I looked like any other run-of-the-mill assistant baseball coach that was hired to keep America's future running bases. Running bases and hitting balls with clubs. Balls with barbarian clubs. Barbarian. Because that's what a cricket person would call the baseball bat, right? It's a barbarian's club. It's not even that good. Not that good at all. Okay. Now, I couldn't risk simply going up and talking to the boy. He might recognize then he'd be able to pick me out in a lineup. So, an added fake nose and wig were so an added fake nose and wig were put to the test. Waiting until the average baseball carrier, baseball child, waiting until the average coach oh no, it's giving me the circle of death. Okay, there we go. Now, I couldn't risk simply going up and talking to the boy. America's future running bases and hitting with ball. Scrap this part. I looked like any other run-of-the-mill assistant baseball coach that was hired to keep America's future running bases and hitting balls with barbarian clubs. Last thing I did was print out a realistic looking. Last thing I did was print out a badge. A security badge telling everyone I was an outfielding coach. I was one of the... What are the people who like massage players and keep them healthy? Last thing I did was print out a security badge telling everyone I was one of the many athletic trainers. They're to tape ligaments and giving everyone and icing sore arms, sore shoulders. Now, I couldn't risk simply going up and talking to the boy, then I'd be picked out of the lineup. To ensure the boy couldn't pick me out in a lineup, I added a fake nose and wig to my athletic trainer getup. I saw on the security camera, I saw during my surveillance, I saw that young Henry was the player who was bowling in the middle. Being a pitcher, I simply had to wait for all the other players to leave. While Henry stayed behind to get his pitching arm iced. As I poured the ice, I gave the room a certain a security eyes glance. Sweep. As I poured the ice, I gave the room a sweep to ensure our anonymity. Our privacy. Save. Okay. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go use the restroom because that coffee just went woo. But I will be right back. In the meantime, enjoy the music, enjoy the slideshow, and if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe, like, comment. It really helps out the channel and helps out the video getting pushed out there. And as always, if you have other readers or writer friends that you think might enjoy it, share it with them. And if you would like to, of course, you can always check out the Patreon as well. I think that last one right there, the Patreon short stories, with the book and the hardcover, that one just turned out really good. I just really like the look of it. Really like the look of it, honestly. So this short story is coming along. However, I am like going a million miles an hour with the declassified maximum security survival guide, mostly because we're so close to being done. We're so incredibly close to being done. So we have Stay Insane. I've got so many cool documents to put in there and make it like really a neat finished manuscript. Yeah. Just keeps going a million miles an hour. It's probably what I'll work on tonight after this live stream is done. But for now, we'll stick to the Butler Benson Belvedere. Yeah, because you guys like Butler Benson, right? He's an interesting guy. As I poured the ice, I gave the room a sweep to ensure our privacy. After letting the last of the players and coaches clear out, I got close to Henry. The kind of close a tick gets to skin. Hello, Henry. I hear you've been a bad boy. No, that's not right. With two firm hands on the collar, a strong, sturdy wall put him up against, and a menacing snarl to boot, I dare say I made quite the convincing, dangerous fellow. Now, mind you, I am a gentle soul. But sometimes gentle souls need to exude an angry kind of dominance to ensure others' souls remain docile. And that's just what I did. Soon Henry understood, in no uncertain terms, exactly what might befall him, his family, or his dog, if he were to ever touch, bully, harass, or so much touch, bully, harass, extort, or so much as speak to the young master again. As I left, listening to the weepings of a child who just had the fear of Zeus thrust into them like a lightning bolt, I was confident that the Hursts, right? Hurst? That is how you spell their name, right? Henry Bandebir Hursts. Yep, I am right. That the Hursts, I was confident that the Hursts' troubles with Mr. Bandebir, troubles with Henry, were at an end. However, my confidence was shaken when Henry returned home 2 days later with a large black eye. Once again, he claimed it was a football injury. The poor chap would do anything, just as I would, to not be the cause of worry of his dear mother. Well, I clearly had to deal with the child. Well, I clearly had to deal with the child. However, I wasn't sure. Well, clearly, I'd failed to get the severity of my message across to young Henry. Unfortunate. I thought about sending a stronger message with the destruction of his beloved dog. However, I couldn't bring myself to harm such an innocent animal. No. I supposed I had best simply best simply take action against Henry directly. Now, this was a I just used beloved. Now, this was a child who came from means. His death must look entirely accidental, or at the very least, okay, I'm rethinking poison. I think we should use poison in a different one. Instead, okay. No, we're gonna go with poison, because I was thinking at the moment of the vehicle, using the vehicle. However, the vehicle would have a driver, and Mr. Butler Benson Belvedere would not be okay with hurting a innocent driver. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't be okay with it. So, means we're gonna have to do something a little different. No hurting the driver. Let's go with poison still, and let's have him poison the child's let's have Butler Benson Belvedere poison the child's his water, the water that he drinks after baseball. Least be undetectable. Undetectable. To this end, lucky for me, I have a PhD in botany. Lucky for me, I have a PhD in botany. Now, botany is one of those areas that I thought very useful for butlering. Being a butler, being a good butler, means you should be prepared for any eventuality. I shouldn't have him be a PhD, though. Let's do a bachelor's. I have a bachelor's in botany. Being a good butler means you should be prepared for any eventuality. Okay. Eventuality. And plants have several uses that could save your butlering, that could save your ass while butlering. No, he would never use ass. It could save your posterior while butlering. Your master your boss's wife was bitten by a venomous animal during an excursion in a tropical rainforest. There's a plant for that. The young master accidentally ingested a poison. Accidentally ingested something he's allergic to while on vacation in the Alps. There's a plant for that. The family dog decided it wanted to roll around in some forbidden plant that sits in the middle of the let's see, we already did the rainforest, right? Tropical rainforest. In the middle of an unexplored cave. The family dog decided it wanted to roll around in some forbidden shrooms in the middle of an unexplored cave, setting its skin afire and mind going mad with lacidasic and mind going mad. Let's think for a moment. What's that? What's a good word? What's a good word? A good word for high. For high on drugs. Say it, skin of fire and mind. Say it, skin of fire. We're just gonna cut that part out. The family dog decided it wanted to roll around in some forbidden shrooms in the middle of an unexplored cave, saying it's skin of fire. There's a plant for that. Mosquitoes attacking. Snakes attacking. Scorpions stinging. Bushes bristling. People's organs failing. People's pain receptors screaming their plants for all those contingencies. A Boy Scout is always prepared. A butler. A butler. A Boy Scout is always prepared. A butler. No, that's cheesy. We're gonna take that out. For this trouble, I'd find I need a very rare, specific plant that would be all but untraceable unless specifically sought after and tested for. Okay, now it's time to Google search. Dun da da. Let's pull up Google Chrome. Google Chrome. Thank you, Google Chrome. Okay, let's go to the internet. Welcome to the internet. Have a look around. We're going to do rare poisons untraceable. What type of poison is undetectable? The poisoner's poison, since it is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Its slow-acting, painful, and wide-ranging symptoms are often suggestive of a host of other illnesses and conditions. Thallium poisoning. That's it? That's the only one? Okay, let's look up thallium. Let's find out what thallium poisoning is all about. Thallium poisoning is poisoning that is due to thallium and its compounds, which are often highly toxic. Contact with skin is dangerous, and adequate ventilation could be provided when melting this metal. Many thallium compounds are highly soluble in water. We're not going to use that. That is not the kind of poison we're looking for. We're looking for rare poisonous mushrooms. 7 of the world's most poisonous mushrooms. Okay, let's look this up. Death cap. Perhaps the deadliest of all mushrooms, the death cap is found throughout Europe and closely resembles edible straw mushrooms and Caesar's mushrooms. Its heat-stable emit toxins withstand cooking temperatures and quickly damage cells throughout the body. Within 6 to 12 hours after consumption, violent abdominal pain, vomiting, and bloody diarrhea appear. Okay, but see, that's 6 hours. 6 hours? We need faster than that. Violent abdominal pain, vomiting, kidneys and central nervous system soon follow, including a decrease in urinary output and lowering of blood sugar. Okay, let's try bringing up another one. We're going to keep that in our back pocket just in case, but making poison out of rare plants. Poisons, how to use them. Mythcreants. Plants and animals like to avoid getting eaten and killing anyone who dares nibble them in a great way to accomplish this. Depending on the time period or tech level. Real poisons. Fantastic settings. Poisons out of place and time. So let's talk fantasy here. Nope. I don't want fantasy. I want real. We're going to find a real poison to use here. 7 of the world's deadliest plants. Here we go. Water hemlock. Closely related to poison hemlock, the plant that famously killed Socrates, water hemlock has been deemed the most violently toxic plant in North America. A large wildflower in the carrot family, water hemlock resembles Queen Anne's lace and is sometimes confused with edible parsnips or celery. However, water hemlock is infused with deadly cytotoxin, especially in its roots, and will rapidly degenerate potential fatal symptoms in anyone unlucky enough to eat it. Painful convulsions, abdominal cramps, nausea, and death are common, and those who survive are often afflicted with amnesia or lasting tremors. Ooh. We're going to do something different. We're going to let Henry survive. But he's going to have amnesia and lasting tremors. So his life is ruined, even though he's alive. Huh. CQ toxin. Let's look up CQ toxin just to make sure that we found the right thing. We think that we're good, but let's make sure that we're really good here, okay? CQ toxin. CQ toxin is a naturally occurring poisonous chemical compound produced by several plants from the family Apiaceae, including water hemlock and water dropwort. The compound contains polyene, and alcohol functional groups, and is structural enantiomer of enanthotoxin, also found in water drop water. Molar mass, melting point, chem spider ID, boiling point, density. Okay. How long until death? Let's find out. CQ toxin, the first plants. CQ toxin, a major violent toxin of the species, is a plant that occurs in South Africa. Bioactivity in food plants. Okay. Ingests are similar in presentation. Ingestion is followed by nausea, vomiting, and diaphoresis. While these signs and symptoms have led some authors to speculate about increased cholinergic activity as the mechanism for seizure activity, the frequent reports of mydriasis detract from this theory. The initial convulsion often occurs within the first hour. Repeated convulsions with intermittent lethargy ensues for the next several hours. Fatalities usually occur within about 10 hours and are almost invariably associated with repeated seizure activity. Crocata poisoning has been estimated to be 70% fatal in one small series. Okay. Case reported of cichlids species. Plants of the Cicuta species are generally found growing. Water hemlock plant location. There's got to be like a good explanation on how people die from this, right? Cicutoxin are commonly known as water hemlock and contain toxins responsible for hallmark presentation of intractable and life-threatening seizure activity. Seizures are thought to occur from non-competitive gamma acid antagonism. Clinical feature. Initial features of poisoning may include vomiting, abdominal pain, confusion, weakness, and dizziness. Prolonged seizures can further complicate the clinical course, leading the rhabdomyolysis, hypothermia, acidosis, hypoxia, cerebral edema, and eventual cardiopulmonary arrest. Yes, here we go. This is what we're doing. Now, we just have to write it out. Make it look real nice and pretty for everybody at home. For this trouble, I need a specific plant that wouldn't be too hard to get. If a plant was too rare, it would be easier to trace who had access to it if the authorities somehow were to find were somehow able to distinguish the cause of death. To this end, I selected a simple North American plant. Nope, we're done with those. We're not doing any of those. Water hemlock. North American plant. Cicuta maculata. More commonly known as water hemlock. Within the roots of using the roots systems of several water hemlock, I was able to isolate Okay, bring that back down to 12. I was able to isolate and I was able to excrete a concentrated solution of cicutoxin. The toxic compound found in water hemlocks. Cicutoxin attacks Now let's look up exutoxin. And life-threatening seizure activity. Seizures are thought to occur from non-competitive clinical features. Poison may include vomiting. Okay, let's take all of this. That right there, that's what we're going to use. Other neurotoxic agents should be considered, including isotonic depressants. Okay. Paste. It's big. Let's bring this down to 12, like normal human beings. Come on, guys. Cicutoxin causes seizures due to its non-competitive gamma aminobutyric acid antagonism. along with seizures, likely side effects are vomiting, abdominal pain, confusion, weakness, and dizziness. The prolonged seizures are typically what end up killing the patient after several hours, killing the patient. However, the patient won't die. Until they've experienced. However, in most cases, the patient won't die. The victim won't die until they've experienced several hours of painful seizures, leading to eventual system failure through clinical complications. Leading to eventual system failure through Let's clean up that sentence. That's better. Much better. Prolonged seizures can further complicate the clinical course, leading to acidosis, hypoxia, cerebral edema, and eventual cardiopulmonary arrest. The prolonged seizures eventually lead to acidosis, hypoxia, cerebral edema, and eventually cardiopulmonary arrest. Yay! Now we have Butler Benson Belvedere sounding incredibly smart, which is of course what we want because he is a smart fellow, and we need to make sure that he sounds the way that he is. He needs to sound smart because he is smart. He is a smart character, and it's our job as the writer to make him sound as smart as he is. Okay, these other neurotoxic agents. Cycutoxin, unless it is believed that Henry had some reason to ingest let alone have access to the compound, wouldn't be tested for. After all, there are plenty of other likely neurotoxic agents that the doctors would have to consider if they considered neurotoxic agents at all. things like organophosphates, isoniazid, tricyclic antidepressants, methyl xanthines, hypoglycemics, tramadol, medic toxicity, yes, now we're cooking with Crisco. Okay, so just so that we're not doing a complete paste and copy, we're going to switch that over to there. And we're going to switch these two around. Paste. Okay, there we go. With this surety in mind, I produced the concentrated liquid form of the compound and set about planning Henry's demise. A surety. A surety? A surety. A surety. Surety. No, I spelled it right the first time. A-S-S-U-R-I-T-Y. A surety. How is that not real? Oh, it's a Caribbean dialect. Okay, so we have assured. That's a word. With this itty, and that's wrong. Is there such a word as a surety? Is a Caribbean dialect word, meaning. Okay, so it's not a real word. A surety isn't a real word? Weird. Okay, with this assurance in mind, I'll just use assurance like a boring person. I don't want to argue with pages for too long. With this assurance in mind, I produced the concentrated liquid form of the compound and set about planning Henry's demise. The next day, I sat atop a rooftop with a remote control drone. What are we going to do here? How is he going to get... We need to figure out how he's going to get the liquid compound into Henry's water bottle. Because Henry's water bottle is definitely the way to go about this, right? The next day, I sat atop a rooftop. I don't like that, atop a rooftop. It sounds stupid. The next day, I sat on a rooftop with a drone controller in my hand. You know what? It's going to be best if he just comes in the... Yeah. That's going to be the best way to do it. Wanting as much time between my action of placing the poison and when as much time between my action of placing the poison and when it was ingested. When as much time between my action of placing the poison and when several hours between my action of placing the poison and when Henry ingested it, I decided to sneak into the locker room late at night. I found Henry's it's not called a cubby. I found Henry's locker in good order, and sitting to the left was a half-drunken water bottle. Taking out my eyedropper, I found Henry's locker in good order, and sitting to the left taking out my eyedropper, I slowly released its contents into the water. I repeated this process with 4 more eyedroppers. I wasn't going to risk the doctors having ample time to save the boy. I wasn't going to risk the doctors having ample time to pump the boy's stomach, and possibly save him. I like this. We're headed in the right direction. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good ending with a good twist at the end, which I'm actually not going to reveal to you guys. You guys have to go on Patreon and read the ending of the story if you want to see the good twist. Why? because I'm a little sadistic. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. I just want you guys to have to go to Patreon to see the ending. I slowly released his contents into the water. I repeated this process with 4 more eyedroppers. I wasn't going to risk the doctors having ample time to pump the boy's stomach and possibly save him. Possibly save his life. And that seems like a good stopping point at the moment. I have to go use the restroom. And it's almost 10 o'clock, so I think I'm going to call it a night and maybe do some other stuff that I'm not going to do over live stream. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Enjoy the slideshow as I put it on. As always, love what you read. Enjoy what you write. Love what you read. Enjoy what you write. And just have a fantastic rest of your day. Have a fantastic rest of your night. Sleep well. I love you all so much. And make sure that you like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you have other readers in your life or writers who you think might enjoy this, feel free to share it with them. And as always, if you would like to support this, you are more than welcome to go to Patreon and do so. Have a fantastic rest of your night, guys. Love you all so much.